starting a business is nothing you have to do. Nobody told you that you have to start a business.
Coming up on the Millennial Money Show.
I look at success like a recipe, and a recipe has certain ingredients. There is a blueprint. There is a recipe. There are ingredients, and regardless of your circumstance, regardless of what happened in your childhood, regardless of where you grew up, regardless of how tired you are, regardless of all the circumstances that everybody has, success is an inanimate object. It can't care. It requires what it requires.
If you want entrepreneurship, if you want the accolades entrepreneurs get, if you want the freedom that entrepreneurs have, if you want the financial freedom that entrepreneurs have, you have to be willing to put in the work. And that first year, that first year, baby girl, ain't gonna be much balance. Work-life balance as an entrepreneur, if there is a such thing.
What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Melanin Money Show. You know the vibes. Carter, how you feeling, big dog?
Feeling great, brother. Feeling great. Happy to be here. You know, it's funny. I just came back from an event. I was speaking at an event, and a guy pulled me to the side. He said, "Yo, the Melanin Money Show is the only podcast I listen to." I said, "Say what?" It was just dope being able to see that, because I don't live in the country anymore, so I don't get the feedback live. But he was like, "Yo, bro, if y'all do keep doing anything, keep doing that show." I said, "My G." So we're back, and I'm excited.
It's back. We back like we never left, and it's only gonna get better. That's the crazy part.
Yeah.
It's only going to get better. So appreciate you for that positive review, whoever you might be. It's kind of taking us back to the roots. I feel like we started the show. You were about to leave LA before you moved to, or you were still there?
No, I was still there. I was still fully in LA. Yeah.
No, reason why I said that, I forgot, because one of the early episodes, you was traveling to Colombia. You was there, but you hadn't officially moved yet. You were just there for like a few weeks or so, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so taking back to the roots when you was all the way on the West Coast.
Man, I'm back on the West Coast, and I was telling you before the episode started, I don't know how I was doing this, bro. It's like I hate being 3 hours ahead. I mean, behind. I just like I'm never ahead. So I got to get back to the East Coast real fast. This ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work.
No, sir. But yeah, man, we got a lot to touch on today before we get into the actual topic. Well, maybe we'll give them the topic and then we'll get into some current events first. In true marketing form, we got to give them the hook first. We can't not let them know what the episode is
about. There you go.
Yeah. So today we are going to talk about essentially the work-life balance dichotomy when it comes to entrepreneurship, right? And a lot of times people want things to be so balanced and feel like you're when you're an entrepreneur, you're setting your own schedule and everything should just be like on your own terms. But that isn't always how it goes. So on this episode, we're going to dive into that. But before we dive into that, we got to get into some current events. There's been some interesting things that have been happening and some funny things that we've been seeing. And y'all know we like to have these fly on the wall conversations. So bear with us while we share both these current events and some laughs along the way. So Carter, what's the first one we got?
The first one we got is Tyler Perry halted production of an $800 million studio expansion due to his recent thoughts on or his recent encounter with the new AI tool. And in his words, I'm scared a lot of people are gonna lose jobs. And the AI tool was called AI Sora. So Sora is an AI tool that will allow you to basically recreate a film, to do a pilot for a film without actually hiring the actors to do it, which is crazy. So yeah, he paused $800 million studio expansion because he's like, yo, I don't need to do this. I can just have the AI tool do this pilot for me. So he was happy at first, and he was like, then it immediately hit him right after, like, bro, so many people are going to lose jobs.
Yeah. And that's the thing about entrepreneurship too, which is funny because when we talk about entrepreneurship later, it's like people will see these major companies laying people off and be like, oh my gosh, that's like so wrong. And like the CEO is making so much money. They're already doing so well. Why would they lay these people off? Well, business is a for-profit game. And when things become more efficient, when things become easier to have access in terms of just like scaling your business, and you don't need as much human capital, which is the biggest line item on anybody's balance sheet 9 times out of 10, Like that's just a business decision, right? It's not personal, right? So to your point, he got excited knowing that, man, I probably can save a ton of money with this new tool that's coming out, but he's still the human side of him like, dang, like that means a lot of people are gonna lose jobs. But it's not personal. It's just the reality of business and the reality that you cannot put yourself in a position where you become irrelevant, right? Like you have to put yourself in a position where you add so much value to the marketplace that as technology evolves, you just are able to leverage that to supercharge your work. Like, for example, when the advent of the robo advisor, like years ago, like, oh my gosh, it's over for you, bro. Like, it's over for financial advisors. I'm like, maybe for you, not for me, right? Because this is good. Like, it's just going to make my job easier, right? It'll give us more time to do the things that technology can't do, which is a good thing if you have other things to offer other than just investment management. So, just make that a lesson, y'all. Like AI is not going anywhere. That's the newest thing that everybody's talking about. Ask yourself, how can I become more valuable? Or not only AI can't replace me, but I learn a skill that allows me to leverage AI to become even more valuable than I already am.
1000%, 1000%. So the next current event is Bitcoin. Not only cracked 50,000 a day, but it went all the way to a high of 54,657 as of this recording. So I think I think it went past $50,000 last night, and it's been on a tear into today. So up 6% on the day, and who would have knew? All the way down at 6 to 16,000. And back all the way up to 54,000, man. That's, who's seen this coming?
Shout out to Bitcoin, man. Yeah, that's lit. I remember, so before it crashed a couple of years ago, what was it like? What was it like at 60? It reached what, 63 or 69? Do you remember?
The peak?
Yeah, was it 60? It was like close.
I think it was like 69 because people was calling 100. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So looks like Bitcoin might be on its way, not only back to touching that, but potentially surpassing it, y'all. So if you're not holding on to your Bitcoin, I didn't sell. I had what they say in the crypto world, the diamond hands. It was hard. It was hard.
It wasn't even hard for me because I wouldn't sell because I'm not gonna go, like, I'm not gonna lose this bad. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think it was harder for you because you bought in way, way, way earlier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I bought, so like when it crashed to 16, I wasn't out of profit. So I'm like, I'm not going out like this. You know what I'm saying? So it was an easy hold for me. But my only problem, I guess, my only negative sentiment with crypto is how silent the crypto buffs get when it's bad and how loud they are when it's not. Like my thing, just be even keel across the board, right? Like don't disappear. Like, you know what I'm saying? When things get bad.
They were
people pivoted. The pivot game was crazy. Pivot game was Tim Duncan 07. Like,
fundamentals. You know what I'm saying?
Fundamentals, bro.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real. Like if you believe in it, you believe in it, right? Like you gotta see the ebbs and the flows, and you gotta stand on business regardless, right, of how it's going at any given time. So now I'd have to agree. But you definitely have to stay 10 toes down. But shout out to Bitcoin for surpassing 53,000, which is amazing to see for the crypto.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I think without further ado, brother, we can get into the episode. And I brought this up to you before recording because it's been something I've been seeing a lot just on social. And it's like I've been wanting to get my sentiment out about it because I've been seeing a lot of posts about like work-life balance, and then some entrepreneurs like Hermosi getting destroyed on social for like telling people like, yo, just work. Don't, like, you sleep late. Like he made a post saying something along the lines of just get up and work, forget your morning routine. And people like just kind of destroy them in the comments. Like, how you gonna tell people to put their mental health second and all this, and you don't care? Like, and so I just want to give my sentiments about it, and then you can give yours, and we can just tell people like how we feel about it, and even give our personal experiences on work-life balance as an entrepreneur, if there is a such thing.
Yeah, for fact, big facts.
Yeah. So one of the best ways that I've seen it put is there is no such thing as work-life balance, but there is a season of work and there is a season of quote unquote balance, but you can't have both at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are going to be seasons of high activity, high output work, and there's going to be seasons of low output work, but still high income from a bank account standpoint from what you've done in the beginning of your entrepreneur journey. So I think the seeking out work-life balance, especially starting out, like it's almost, in my opinion, audacious starting out as an entrepreneur and you say you want to start a business, for you to have the audacity to think you're going to start something new from scratch and have balance while you start, I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
100%, right? And it's just like, I think even Jeff Bezos put it, he's like, he doesn't really believe in work-life balance, but he believes in work-life harmony, right? Which is why it's important to, especially if you're an entrepreneur, to be pursuing things that are in alignment with what you want to do, right? A lot of like, there are certainly things that Carter and I do that feel like work, right? We're like, oh my gosh, like we got to do this thing, right? But a lot of what we do doesn't feel like works, right? And so it's like we're doing this podcast at 8:30 at night, right? Like we do podcasts where we do all these things that like, man, like we literally will say after it's done, like, if that is work, then my goodness, right? So now there's not to say there aren't going to be aspects of what you do, like, because I want to be clear, right? There's no way, no matter how passionate you are about what you do, there's going to be aspects of it that are what they are, right? It is what it is. But you should be so aligned with the thing that you want to do most that those other aspect that you have to do to make it happen shouldn't feel like that big of a deal, right? Like in the grand scheme of things. And so for me, it's just like, I like to look at it very, very simple. This is my thought process on it, is I look at success like a recipe, right? And a recipe has certain ingredients, period. And you would be looking crazy if you were in the kitchen and you were trying to make lasagna without what is it called, the lasagna noodles, right? And wondering why it don't taste like lasagna. Like, man, I don't understand, right? And I feel like that's what people do with success. It's like there is a blueprint, there is a recipe, there are ingredients, and regardless of your circumstance, regardless of what happened in your childhood, regardless of where you grew up, regardless of how tired you are, regardless of all the circumstances that everybody has in some shape, form, or fashion, success is an inanimate object. It can't care. It's not that it doesn't care. It requires what it requires. And so for people to be salty or using terms like it's unfair, right? That would be the equivalent of, again, trying to make a recipe and mad that lasagna don't taste like it tastes because you forgot to put the ricotta cheese in it. How crazy would that sound? But that's exactly how people sound when they don't get what they want when it comes to success. That, my friends, is what we call entitlement. And we don't do entitlement over here. I'm sorry. So you can say what you want. You can say mental health. Trust me. Like, I'll say this just for context. I hope for those of y'all who've been listening to the podcast, you know this by now. I was robbed at gunpoint the day before we had to record this at one of these episodes. But I said a year and a half prior that we were going to record every single week, rain, sleet, snow, hail, whatever. So guess what we did the next day? You follow? So listen, like I could have told anybody that story. We could have come back 3 weeks later and say, hey guys, I know we've been MIA. Here's what happened. Here's why we didn't. And 90% of y'all would have been like, oh, that makes sense. But based upon our standard and what we wanted, right? And it's not that Carter pressed me to do it. I wanted it, right? I was like, no, this is what we got to do. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the standard that we set. So when you make a decision that this is what you want, you are not just agreeing to the sun, you're also agreeing to the mud, right? You're agreeing to both aspects. But most people are just so fixated on the product that they forget about the process.
Yeah, and I think one of my favorite quotes around this topic is this: if you want to spend without looking at the price, you need to be willing to work without looking at the clock. Period. And what gets under my skin is when people want the output but are unwilling to deposit the input that it takes to get the output, right? Like, you can have work-life balance, but you also gonna need to have spending balance as well. Because if you have work-life balance, you're probably not gonna be able to spend money without any thought behind the money being spent, because you probably not gonna have the freedom to spend without thinking about how much something costs, because you refuse to work without looking at the clock. Now, here's what I will say. For all my people who want a balanced life and say, I don't want to work more than 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day, I don't want to work on weekends, cool. But then please don't complain when your financial output is not where you want it to be. Now, if you're okay saying like, y'all make $80,000 a year, dude, I don't need no more than that. I don't need the fancy car. I don't need the big house. Dude, I just want to relax. I want to be a minimalist. I'm all for that. What gets me, irritated and upset is when the people want more, but are unwilling to put in the work that it takes to get more, because now you're more whining and complaining versus actually having an internal issue. So I think where, it gets, like, at least for me, starting a business is nothing you have to do. Nobody told you that you have to start a business. Right? You can stay at work. You can work for an entrepreneur and probably make decent money with substantially
way less stress,
fewer headaches. Yeah, exactly. But you signed up for this. Like, you remember that? Have you ever seen that Shia LaBeouf Transformer meme where he was like, "This is what you asked for, right? Right, this is what you wanted. Don't be complaining, right? This is the real thing. Wake up." And it's like, yo, like, if you want entrepreneurship, if you want the accolades that entrepreneurs get, if you want the freedom that entrepreneurs have, if you want the financial freedom that entrepreneurs have, you have to be willing to put in the work. And that first year, King, that first year, baby girl, ain't gonna be much balance.
That second year, it ain't gonna be much balance. That third year, and then there's gonna be seasons, right, based upon where you want to go, that it's going to continue to be in balance, right? So here's how I explained it to, I'm about to invent a new word, a friendee, right? Somebody who's a friend, but they're a mentee, like friend-tor. But basically, here's how I explained it, right? I was like, when you first start out, right, it's a bunch of work and basically no profit, right? It's like you're just doing everything you can to like make this thing make sense, put in all the work, and you're not going to see no fruits of your labor, right? Then you get to a point where you have some time, right? Like, okay, I'm starting to figure it out a little bit, and you got some profit, right? And then you got a decision to make, right? Because it's like, okay, I could technically stay. This is what I would consider like the low to mid six-figure range, right? So, okay, you're starting to get a little bit of money that you could live comfortable, right? Depending on how you define comfort. And you also got, a little bit of time. You can create a scenario where you might have a little bit of time, right? But then you have an inflection point at that. Once you're at that level, do I want to go to the next level, right? And
you don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to.
And you don't have to, right? Then the next level, right, which is where you have no time again and no profit again, but not say no profit, but less profit than you could have, because you're investing all your money to get to the final stage, which is all time and all profit, aka you get to cash out, right? You own the business and you don't run the business. And then I feel like we're in that third phase, right? Where it's like, we could technically just be like, let's just have a nice little, do what we do, take some profit, chill, not do all the extra stuff, and we be good, right? But we're at that reinvestment phase of hiring all these people, put money back into the business, increasing enterprise value so that we can get to that final boss. In the big, like when y'all play video games, the final boss of like, oh shoot, we got all the time and all the profit, right? It's a crazy how the cycle goes, and that's where we are, right? Like, it's a choice. We had to make it.
And out here in LA, I told you I had a real good conversation with Theo about something we got to talk about in person, and like, bro, like that on the head. Like, you don't have to do shit. You don't got to do anything.
Right.
But if you say you want this thing right here, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is, and I just want everybody to know, like you have the choice of not wanting that next thing. Like, let's talk about that.
Hey, Aren't you tired of buying courses in those emotional states when you want to get a result, but then you actually don't do anything with the course? Do you know on average, the completion rate for a course is about 2%? But here's the thing, it's not entirely your fault. The problem is you buy the course, but you don't have access to the source who actually created it.
See, that's why we're doing something different. With the Millionaire Club, you're not just gonna get access to courses, you'll get access to the people who created it so you can get your questions answered. Because it's not just about learning, it's about taking that information so you can start earning. So the Millionaire Club is gonna give you access to courses, but not just that, it's an entire university of information. We have financial flicks, we have hundreds of previous recordings, but more than that, y'all, we have an amazing community of people just like you who are trying to become a first generation millionaire. So like GA said, like you can survive without community, but you can't thrive without community. So this is the place you need to be, right?
100%, because here's the thing. If it was just about information, we'd all be billionaires with six packs. So that's why every single Monday, we're going to set the tone for your week with Melanin Millionaire Mondays, where our entire community is going to meet up. The energy is going to be high. We're going to set the intention for what we're going to execute on so we can move the needle forward, and Carter and I and the rest of our team can keep you accountable.
So that's enough information. You see the rest in the club. All you got to do, click the link below, sign up, and start your journey to your first millionaire year. Let's get it, man.
Let's go.
Being 100,000 is okay, right? You don't have to go for the million. If you're happy with 100,000 or hundreds of thousands, cool. When you're at the million, you don't have to go for 8 figures. You can just stay at the million and live a balanced life, and nobody you care about should judge you.
Right.
Right. But my thing is, my only thing is, if you say you want that next mountain, you better be willing to put in the work and dig the ditch that it takes to get up to the next mountain. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where the work-life balance comes, because if you want what you say you want, then you have to be okay with seasons of imbalance. Right. And the dope thing about it, like once you get it, you should take a season of balance with rest. Like I had this thing where every 3 to 4 months, bro, I would take a trip out the country somewhere for a month, and I would not work. And I would kick it. I wouldn't tell people who I am. I wouldn't tell people what I did. I was in another country. They didn't know me anyway. And I would just not work for like 3 weeks. And I did that every 4 months from like year number 3 to year number 5. But I did that for like 2 years. And that was a crazy season of imbalance. And then 3 weeks of rest and balance, a crazy season of 3 months of hard work, balance and imbalance. So I was able to find my rhythm to come back refreshed and do whatever I want to do. But I think one of the biggest takeaways that people can have is like, you don't have to choose to go into that next level. But if you're going to choose going to that next level, please do not complain, at least to me, about what it takes to get there, right?
And I also want people to feel okay. To your point, like sometimes you don't know until you start pursuing something, right? So like if you get to a point where it's like, I was more happy, or now that I'm reaching for this, I can honestly say that this is not quite what I want. Like I personally would be okay with you having that realization and recalibrating. Like I know friends who scaled back and, wanted to like kind of downsize what they were building because they realized, I mean, I won't say it's like the wrong way, but they weren't built for that next level. You know what I'm saying? Like it's okay to have that realization. But what I've also seen more often than not is them still like them going backwards, at least in my experience, was not because they didn't want it. It was because they had to be honest with themselves. They didn't want to put in the work to get that thing. But you have to be careful about retreating if that's your reality, because then you'll still always wonder, should you have gone for it? There's a big difference between knowing for sure that you want something small or something balanced, then I don't want to put in the work right now. And as a result, I'm lying to myself saying that I want something lesser, right? Those are two totally different things, right? So you have to understand where you fall on the spectrum, because we all have moments, right? We all have moments like, man, this is hard. Man, I wish this were easier. Man, I wish, whatever. But like, if you know you still want it, you gotta find your stride. You gotta find your way to still pursue and still fight, because we only get one shot at this thing called life. And as one of, I think everybody entrepreneurs probably like mentor, whether they realize it or not, Jim Rohn, he says that, what did he say? He said, discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons, right? Or something to that effect. And you do not want to have regret in your heart simply because you had moments of weakness where you didn't feel like doing the work. Feelings are fleeting, right? Like if we were relying on this podcast is a great example of that. If we were relying on feelings, right? We only did podcast episodes when we felt like it. I'm sure we wouldn't be doing it, wouldn't have 2.5 years of consistency. I'm sure of it, right?
Yeah.
There's been times where Cardi probably been under the weather. I've definitely been under the weather. I've had other circumstances. I mean, we're not going to go through the laundry list of what those things have been over the past couple of years. But if it was based upon feelings, my God, how much stuff would not get done if it was based upon how good we did or did not feel?
1,000%, 1,000%. I know we can keep this going. This is a deep conversation, but we owe it to our people to give them this episode's reach of the week.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Yes, we cannot forget that, bro.
Oh, my God. So hilarious.
Dog.
Hey, Dama, you might got to clip this up, bro, and put this in here now. This shit was too funny.
When you sent me that reel, bro, I was out of my chair, bro. I was delusional. Like, I was laughing to a delusional capacity, bro. Like, it was so funny, man. And just let you all in on what we're referring to. Let me find this. Let me actually find this reel. So shout out to EYL, Rashad. I think Rashad and
yeah, they got a new show. They got a new show.
Really?
Yeah, it's called Blackout. I think. Basically, it's like you notice Troy's not on there because Troy's the voice of reason. This is basically like them being able to have unhinged conversations freely.
Bro, I am here for it. Okay, I am here for it. So, the podcast clip came to basically in summary. He was just like, "Bro, hilarious. Don't be a clout chasing demon." And there's two levels to this, or two aspects. There's like, so George, me and you are entrepreneurs who have some quote unquote clout. We both have a good following. We have a lot going for ourselves, and we've been out with the chick. I mean, you're married, so probably more me than you. But you've been out with a chick, and she just cannot, for the life of her, act like she's been here before, right? Like, bro, walk into the spot. Oh my God, let me get the picture and ask the doorman to take the photo, and then the waiter comes down and can you take a picture, add the filter, bro? Like, you just sitting there like you. Can you replate I missed that. Can you replate the food so I can get the? Can you take it? Can you take it back all the way to the back? I want to catch you walking out, bro. And it's funny because you can tell at that point they're so far removed from being in this room ever in their life, they can't even act like they've been here before. Acting like the thought of like I should probably act like I've been here before didn't even come across their head because they're that excited, bro.
Right. So to your point, I don't know you were going like there's that level, and then there's the homie friend level, right?
That's the other level. That's the other level. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So you invite the fellas out or whatever the case may be. And then they are just acting like they ain't never like standing by people's cars and ain't their car. Like, yo, bro, let's get this flick real quick. Like,
bro, that's crazy work.
We're not doing that. I'm gonna tell you what we're not doing. Right. And got the foot up, the foot up with the pose with the foot up bro, that's somebody's Ferrari. What are you doing? And you're with me. You got me looking crazy right now. Right? So please, like, if your friend, your homies, there's somebody you dating, if they got a little bit of motion, as Rashad stated, like, please just fight it as hard as you can. If you want to come back. Now, if you don't want to come back, right? You want to get it all, want to leave it all on the table. If you want to leave it all on the table, then do what you was planning to do. But if you want to come back, you got to suppress. You got to fight that urge to be a clout demon. You have got to suppress it, right? Act like, but like, yo, I felt that so hard.
Bro,
Like here's the move. No, here's the clout. Here's the clout demon move, right? You don't know the person that's standing right here, right? But they somebody, and you hit them with and they don't even know you hit them with one of these. You don't even you hit them with one of these. Like
you don't even ask for the photo, bro.
Right, you hit them with
one
and then tag them.
No, we gotta start there, bro. Like inviting somebody you don't know as a collab on your Instagram post is crazy work, bro. Crazy. Like, I don't know you. Why would you invite me as a collaborator to this photo? Like, I'm gonna just go and accept it? Like, no way, dog.
Yes, shoot, bro. But I get some wild collaborator requests. Like, what? Like, here's my thing. My thing is like, I'm thinking like, what? Like, as you were making the post, as you were doing the thing, like. What thought registered that like this made sense? You know what I'm saying? Like it had to be something that was like, nah, I'm not going to like, really? Like this really, like you really processed this and like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is the one. No way.
Yeah. And like, let me like, cause I don't want it to be like too far removed. But I want to be humble in this moment too. Yeah. There are times when me and George have walked in rooms and I have to pull it to the side like, nigga, can you believe where the hell we are? But this, you know, but like that's between me and him. And I'm like, I'm trying to keep it together. I'm gonna act like I've been here before. But when we leave, we got to talk about what's happening right now. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Big facts. Because we're all human, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like you get invited to the VIP at a VIP. You're like, oh, I'm in that room. Okay. But you gotta take it easy. You gotta be chill, right? Like another thing too that some of y'all might not realize. Like, listen, and there's a balance, and then we can leave it at this. Because there is a balance, right? Like, I'm not saying be too cool for school. If there's an organic opportunity, somebody you respect, somebody you admire, like acknowledge it. Have a quick, yo, bro, love what you're doing. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You know what I'm saying? Like salute them, whatever the case may be, him or her. And if the opportunity presents itself for a picture, not if they're mid conversation or they got food in their mouth, but if it's a vibe, cool. Like, okay, cool. That might be okay. Like, just have the power of discernment to make that decision. I'm not saying be too cool for school, but at the same token, we're also not saying like, yo, like there's a time and place for everything. If somebody's about to take a bite of food, if they got a bunch of other people that are talking to them, they're mid-conversation, that ain't the time to get your flick off. It's just not the time. You know what I'm saying? Just that's one of those situations. I know we live in a social media era. You just gotta live in the moment. You just gotta know you was there. You know what I'm saying? And believe in yourself to know this ain't the last time that you're gonna find yourself in one of those rooms again. Right? Like that should be the promise to yourself. Like, you know what? I'm gonna move correctly because this ain't gonna be the last time I'm gonna find myself in one of these rooms. Because what you don't want to do is move. Like, nah.
And here's the last thing I'll put on this, and we can leave it here. But like, this will kill your chances of ever getting in the room again. If they do take the picture with you, do not post it saying, oh, my man X, Y, and Z approves of my product or service. Y'all should get it too. Like, yo, do not use the photo as brand recognition for whatever product or service you trying to sell. Like, bro, that's diabolical.
That's diabolical.
Like, that's crazy.
But like,
that's diabolical, bro.
Putting me in your click funnels is crazy.
Crazy. Right? like I got him result. Like, no. Oh, like, so that's it, guys. But that was the reach of the week. Don't be somebody who's reaching, and we got to put you on this segment, please. But I want to get that out, bro.
Please. Yo, I lost.
He said that from the pit of his stomach.
Yo, bro, you know what's even worse? We didn't touch on like somebody coming with the crazy ring light, like in the situation. Mine would be like a vibey room and someone being like, getting the flick. Let's get back because we could go on for a while. About this. But just don't do not be a cloud deep, please.
Yeah. So I heard this. I heard this Hermosi quote that I think is really relevant to the topic for today. And he said, "Expecting it to be easy is what makes it harder than it ever actually is." Right? Like expecting, like your expectation of it being easy makes the thing harder than it ever has to be. Right? So like I was talking to my homie about this. I gave an example. I said, look, bro, if I told you for your job today, you have to take these 30 cinder blocks and move them from this side of the road to the other side of the road. I said, that's your job for the day. And you agree, and you accepted the terms, you took the job. But then halfway through, I'll come over with a dolly saying, you know what, bro? Use the dolly to take the rest of them. You would be ecstatic. You'd be, oh, bro, because your expectation was I had to move 30 bricks to the other side of the road. Now let's flip the inverse of that same scenario. I come over to you with the dolly and say, like, bro, your job for the day is to move these 30 bricks across the road, right? And then the first 15 use the dolly, but then halfway through, I'll come and say, hey, bro, I'm gonna need that dolly. You gotta take the rest of these by hand. You would lose it. But but the same scenario. You have to take 15 bricks with a dolly, 15 bricks by hand, but your expectation was different.
Right.
And that is what it comes to entrepreneurship. If you come into this game and think it's going to be easy, it's going to be harder than it ever has to be for you. But if you come into this game thinking that it's already going to be hard, there's already going to be sleepless nights, there's already going to be, you're going to have to sacrifice some summers, you got to sacrifice some weekends. If you come with that expectation, you actually might be able to hit your goal faster.
Big facts. And that's why I'm gonna see if Carter remembers my quote. So what's the quote I always say about time? See if you remember.
Time. I don't. I know what you're saying.
It would do what? It would do this or it will do that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Time will either promote you or expose you.
Right. And that's why I always say that, because like entrepreneurship for many of y'all, listen, if you're 25 plus, you can give up the hoop dreams, right? Like like you're not going to nobody's league no more. You don't go overseas, like save your knees. Like it's a wrap, right? So like entrepreneurship is your new sport. Okay. Yeah. But if you ever played sports growing up, you know that if you practice, right, behind the scenes when nobody's looking, right, you're going to get on that court in game time like, yo, I didn't know he had it like that. Like you're going to be saucing everybody up. You have way more endurance because when nobody was looking, you did what was supposed to be done. Carl, you just posted about this. You spoke on stage. How does it look so easy, right? Because when two things, right? Well, I'll say the one that's most relevant, but because when nobody's looking, right, we're putting in the world. My wife, I can't count how many times my wife walk in, I'm in the shower or walk around. Who are you talking to? Don't worry about it. I'm having a board meeting. You know what I'm saying? No, but seriously, I be in the shower, you know what I'm saying? Like from time, not every day, but there's times I'm like citing my one line, because when I gotta turn the lights on, it's already there. Right? Like my team would joke with me all the time, like, bro, you act like you knew what was coming. Well, I kind of did. Because when you're always prepared, right? Like you can just turn it on. And so like, but when you aren't prepared, or to Carter's point, you have this expectation or entitlement that it's going to be easy, you're going to get exposed, right? It's going to be evident. It's going to be easy. Like, oh, okay. Like you get on the court to play a pickup game. Bro, I thought you said you'd be hooping. When's the last time you played, right? It's going to be the same thing, entrepreneurship. You're going to get in those rooms, everybody, because you posted, some stuff on Instagram and made it seem like you was really out here. Man, the grind don't stop. Then you get in the rooms with the big dogs. And then you start having conversations, and you're like, "Wait,
it don't take long to realize either, man.
It don't take long. You're not who you supposed to be, right?
Understood.
Versus what happens for us more often than not is even though we post consistently, and people have a certain level of reverence for what we are and who we do. When we get in the room, it gets even more amplified. Not only because we know our stuff, but because we actually have a great personality, right? In person. It's like, oh damn, bro, you even cooler in person. Like, and that's not tooting our horn. It's just to say, like, y'all, you got to expect that this is not going to be easy. And you got to work behind the scenes like you about to go to war. And then you might, when it's time to go to war, it might be like, oh damn, that was child's play. I did all that. I'd rather you be in that scenario than to be on the front lines and be unprepared. Right?
And back to the Samozi interview, bro. That's the exact analogy he said. He said, like, look, when you start a business, it's going to be hard. And theoretically, the good news about that is it's going to be the hardest that it's ever going to be. Not because the battles are not going to get harder over time, but who you are, you're going to be more positioned to slay those dragons, right? Like, look, that first problem in entrepreneurship, like, it might feel like you're fighting a bear with a stick, right? Like you might be fighting for your life, and it doesn't mean that throughout your entrepreneurship journey it's gonna get easier. Like the enemy might get bigger. It might go from being a bear to a actual dragon, but your arsenal is different, right? Now you don't have the stick. Now you got a rocket launcher, you got team members, you know what I'm saying? You got an army behind you. Now, even though the demon is bigger, you're more equipped to handle the battle. So the battle, the good news is the hardest battle for you to fight is probably going to be at the beginning. It doesn't mean that the battle's not going to get harder, but you're going to become a better person. In the words of the late, great Jim Rohn, don't wish things were easier. Wish you
better.
I think we can end on that note, bro.
That's a classic. Yeah. I think we can definitely end on that note, man. It's like, like this is entrepreneurship can be one of the most amazing, fascinating, terrifying, electrifying, challenging experiences of your life, right? But you have to be willing to look yourself in the mirror every day and say, you know what? I'm built for this. I'm willing to do the work. And even when it becomes hard and challenging, I'm not going to retreat, right? I'm going to stay down. Like one of the things that I would say last year that me and Carter bonded over in entrepreneurship was like again, I'm gonna go back to this example because we ain't always been as polished as we are now. Back in the day, like you catch me in the wrong day, you might catch these hands. I ain't gonna hold you. Like you try to, like you might catch these hands for real. You know what I'm saying? So but it's always refreshing back then, knowing like, okay, well, if I'm about to fight, like, the last thing you want is, you got somebody supposedly on your team and they're like, nah, bro, you sure we got to throw these? You sure we got to do this? That's the last thing you want. But when you know that you got somebody that's willing to be in the trenches, when it's like, oh, like I knew you would be willing to do it when it was easy, but okay, you're willing to do it when it's hard too. Okay, cool. Like, so I say that to say, like we did a lot of stuff. Like for those who've been living under a rock, right? We did a multi-city podcast tour. We did a sneaker ball. We did an international trip. We did an awards show, to name a few. And we just started doing events. And we did like 7 of them, if you count the individual podcast events, right? Like in 1 year, on top of merging our businesses, on top of all the other stuff, on top of growing our teams, like all in 1 year. It was hard, right? But we never retreated. He knew he could count on me. I knew I could count on him. And in the hardest, most challenging moments, we came out on top, right? We came out on top every time. And it wasn't easy, but we came out on top every time. So I say that to say, just look yourself in the mirror, ask yourself, are you made for this? And if the answer is yes, be willing to do whatever it takes. On that note,
and with that,
catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.